Hey guys, it's Doglightning here, and I'm going to be going over preseason changes and how they're going to affect NEEKO. So to start off with preseason, there are two big changes that will affect us NEEKO players. One, NEEKO is finally jungleable. And two, Turbo Chem Tank is a legendary item. So those are the big changes of preseason. Other than that, I'm going to be real with you guys. It's a sad preseason. Most of the new items aren't very good for NEEKO, don't really matter. So the big change is that we can jungle, which is huge. I'm actually going to be playing only NEEKO jungle for a while, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and like this video to get it going through the algorithm so that you get the recommendation. I'm going to be doing a NEEKO jungle video that's going to be coming up in a few days. If you want to see that, follow. Also, if you want to see it live, check out my Twitch. So yeah, those are the big changes. So that's where we'll start off with the big changes. So first big change, jungle is now viable. I have done tests. You can full clear on NEEKO. If you get a leash, you can do red, golems, raptors, wolves, blue, and then after blue, you can go for a gank to get prio into scuttle, or you can do a full clear into scuttle if your lanes already have prio and you don't need to get prio. You can full clear on NEEKO jungle and make it to scuttle by the time scuttle spawns, which is absolutely massive. Being able to full clear healthily and get to scuttle on spawn means that you are on pace with any other jungle clear in the game, making NEEKO jungle finally viable. So yeah, make sure you like and subscribe if you guys want to see that. So for jungle, what do we got to go with? So there's 3 jungle items now that give you kind of pets. There's a red, blue, and green one. I think the best one is going to be the red one. So what the red one does is when you charge up the effect off doing camps in time, your next attack will slow the enemy by 30%. And basically, this is kind of like the old Glacial. If you remember old Glacial, it made your auto slow. You'd go in and auto slow and then make it so you could land your root more easily because they're slowed. Same idea. This red one will make it when you're going for ganks. Instead of starting your gank looking for an EQ, at which point you might miss because they might have too much mobility, you can start off your gank by stealthing in. You get your empowered auto off to slow them and then hit your combo while they're slowed. So I think the red one is going to be the best, but I do think the other two have cases where they could be good. So after the red one, I think the next best one will be the green one. The green one gives you a shield out of combat. This can be really good because obviously NEEKO is squishy and gets poked out easily. If you're versus a lot of poke, it could be useful to have it. If you're versus assassins who are one-shotting it, this could be a useful item also. And finally, the last one is the blue one. The blue one seems like the most niche, but the blue one gives you move speed when you go through bushes. So if the enemy team, for instance, was like over here coming into for Dragon, right? And you are, let's say you're playing Rocket Belt NEEKO, Rocket Belt. So you could be like setting up Dragon here, right? And as NEEKO here, you could come from behind and you could use the move speed. You'd be getting move speed right now to help you get flanks, right? And as you come from this bush behind, you get move speed right here from the plant or for your pet, and it would help you hit like an ult. So that's like the scenarios the blue one can be useful is if you want to be playing kind of like an assassin in the shadows and you want to be going for angles and stuff. This can be really good for like assassin play. Anyway, so yeah, that's NEEKO jungle. She's going to be really good. I would recommend giving her a chance. Now let's go through the items. So again, this season, unfortunately, there's not really good item changes, but I'm going to start off with the one good item we actually got, which is the Turbo Chem Tank is no longer a mythic. Before, this item was hard to justify as a mythic because it kind of sucked on like range champions, and it also like had terrible components. So it sucked on range champions because it used to first of all build from Bammies, which was an item that required you to be in melee range to get use out of the damage. So obviously this component sucked, making, you know, Turbo Chem Tank not the best because you're building components that suck into it. And then also Turbo Chem Tank had an effect that when you auto attacked people, it did AoE damage around you, which again, if you're not on top of them, meant it was wasted. So the old Chem Tank had 2 components that were wasted on NEEKO, which is the AoE damage when you hit them and the component that required you to be in melee range. Because those 2 are gone, instantly makes the item better. On top of that, now the item is no longer a mythic item, which is really, really huge because that means that we can now build the item. We can build the item with, for instance, a rocket belt. So if the enemy team has some APs that are giving you issues, you could build, you know, Chem Tank, and you can stealth in and pop your Chem Tank to get you really close and be able to get this guy. Where if you didn't have the Chem Tank, maybe you wouldn't be able to hit him, but the speed boost from the Chem Tank into here will help you. So this item is definitely much better than it used to be, and definitely something I'll be testing out into teams with lots of AP damage. It'll definitely be between this and the, what's the item called? Force of Nature is now the go-tos. Now, that being said, there's one item that was not the greatest on NEEKO, and it just seems like it got worse, Abyssal Mask. So this item is just season after season got worse. I don't think I'll ever really build anymore. The AoE resist unmake passive that reduces the resist is still an okay niche item if your team has a lot of AP and their team has a lot of if your team has a lot of AP on it and the enemy team's going to be stacking MR because of that. This is okay because you're helping your whole team, but and the enemy team has to be heavy AP. So yeah, this item is just a former of its old self. On top of that, the new passive it got for an extra gold, it got this new passive where if you take damage, you get mana. Doesn't matter. NEEKO's not going to And when you cast spells, you get 20% of the mana spent on that. That's bad on NEEKO because one of NEEKO's spells doesn't cost mana, which means you only have 2/3 the effective of healing out of it. And then the 2 spells you have are long cooldowns, making this item probably never really good on NEEKO. If you just quickly compare the stats of this to the Turbo Chem Tank, remember this is 200 golds cheaper, same amount of HP. Chem Tank has more magic resist, it has the same amount of ability haste, so we can already see stats wise Turbo Chem Tank is just more gold efficient for getting tanky, right? This has the first part of this doesn't matter, so you're then choosing what would you rather have. The AoE reduce their MR by like 11, or the speed boost by 40%. It's quite obvious with a slow at the end, it's quite obvious the speed boost is just better. So this item will be our go-to probably magic resist item if we want to engage, and this will be our go-to magic resist item if we're just going to be getting focused by the whole enemy team. And I don't think we're going to really be picking up Abyssal Mask anymore. So before we get onto the new tank items here, let's just quickly go to the only new AP item that you would think could be good on NEEKO, and I'll tell you it's not. So right when you build it, it only gives 60 AP. This is terrible. 3,200 gold for 60 AP is just god awful when you could be getting 90 AP plus 6 pen kind of in a vibe. So this item is just not going to give you much damage when you build it, making it a scaling item. When it scales up, it only gives 100 AP. It gives an extra 40 AP. Yeah, so it gives 100 AP when fully stacked. Again, you can get 90 AP off the bat. So yeah, this will at the very end be a bit stronger by 10 AP, but not even because this has 6 pen. So this doesn't even scale up to more damage than Rocket Belt because of the pen on it. It just ends up being a not very good item on NEEKO because of that. And again, it has the passive where when you spend mana, you get HP back. But again, NEEKO has long cooldowns and only has 2 spells. This item's good on people who have low cooldowns and spam spells, like Cassio spamming E, Cassidon spamming his full rotation, right? These kind of champions, even like Swain spamming his Q. This is not an item for a champion like NEEKO, and it's not going to be good. I wouldn't even bother trying. And finally, the new tank items, which again, big letdown, guys. I don't think any of these are going to be really good on NEEKO, but I'll give you my opinions on them either way. So this Jack Show, the protein item, seems pretty bad. Basically, in terms of stats, it's not any more gold efficient than getting the cheaper items. It gives 200 HP is the only thing, is it gives 200 HP more, but for 500 gold more for 200 HP, it's basically equal in cost effectiveness. So what the effect does is when you're in combat over time, you stack up with 2 MR and magic resist up to 10 or 8 stacks. It's all right for sure, but like it doesn't really matter because you're not playing NEEKO to go into the middle of the enemy team and stack up resistances and get more tanky over time. Most likely you're going to get blown up and killed before you get this fully stacked. When it's fully stacked, you do an AoE thing where you drain 3% of the enemy's health to heal you, which again, I've tested, it's not very much HP. I don't think this item is going to be very good. This new Radiant Virtue is like kind of like a more expensive locket that heals instead of shielding, and for that reason it's just worse because the amount when you pop this, it heals every 3 seconds for 9 seconds. So someone sits in the full all 3 of the heals, it's healing 20 per heal. So if they sit in for the full 9 seconds, they're getting a 60 heal. Locket gives you a 180 shield off the bat, so Locket's just stronger than this. The big part about it is it gives everyone in there also 15 ability haste, so maybe it could be played instead of Locket in a time where you have teammates who have really important cooldowns that you want to refresh, but I don't know. This item just seems like a worse Locket to me. I don't think I would ever build this over Locket. A cool item, Iceborne Gauntlet, is now an armor item, so this could be okay potentially into some lanes where you want to get armor for. Potentially like your versus like a Senna Draven or a Pike Draven or some double AD lane where you can just like, you know, get pretty tanky with the chain vest and the Kindle gem. And then the cool thing is Sheen, most tank items don't allow you to get anything that helps you get more damage in your lane. This does give you a Sheen, which gives you more damage. That being said, just Sheen scales off your base AD. You can see it's doing 58 damage here. NEEKO has one of the lowest base ADs in the game, making Sheen one of the least effective on NEEKO out of any champ. But, you know, I mean, I'm going to try out this item. Iceborne Gauntlet could be fun in some games, right? The fact that it makes your auto attack put an AoE slow on the ground, or you use your W, get an auto off, you put an AoE slow on the ground, helps you land your abilities. This item could be cool versus a very heavy AD team. And then finally, the newest, this tank item is the one that has the most potential, but at the same time, I don't want to bait you guys a clickbait. I still think it's not good. So the cool thing is when it's finished, it's basically an item that gives you a crap load of HP and health regen. This item, I could see it maybe being okay into like poke comps, because poke comps are usually really squishy champs like a Xerath or a Vel'Koz, because this item actually gives you a lot of damage. When you stand near someone, it puts this little effect on them, and when you hit them with an auto, look, I just did one auto, 328 damage. It actually does a lot of damage, meaning this item could be good into maybe some like squishy comps where this damage, against tanky people, this damage isn't much, it doesn't scale, but against squishies, it does. So, you know, The components on it suck, but maybe if you're facing like a Zyra lane, right, and you want to just like Zyra lane, and maybe you want to get like the Relic Shield into this Crystalline Bracer first. You're getting all that health regen to try and help with the poke. I don't know. And then eventually you finish this and you have a bunch of health regen with that 200% plus this getting up when it's finished up to another 100. You have 300% health regen to help with the poke. You are kind of able to get in close range and still do a lot of burst to a squishy target because this item actually offers damage. So that's the only scenario I can really think when this item might be playable. But other than that, probably not. So anyways, last time I'll ask, like, comment, subscribe on the video, check out my Twitch. Quick recap this video. Jungle, huge change. This is what we're playing preseason NEEKO for, is the jungle. New items, they all kind of suck. Turbo Chem Tank is the only new thing that seems good. And NEEKO mid-scope will be coming sometime early next year probably. So that's probably the big thing for next season we're looking for is NEEKO mains. So yeah, watch the next NEEKO jungle video. Peace out.